So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. And this is chapter 14, Performance of the Vrindaban Pastimes. I'll start with verse number 1. Gaurapashan Atma Vrindai Sri Lakshmi Vijayotsavam Shutva Gopi Rasolasam Rishta Premna Nanarta Saha. Accompanied by his personal devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the festival known as Lakshmi Vijayotsav. There he discussed the super excellent love of the gopis. Just by hearing about them, he became very pleased and danced in great ecstatic love for the Lord. Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Danya. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gaurachandra. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is so exalted. Jaya Jaya Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktagan Jaya Shrota Gana Jara Gaura Pranadan. All glories to all the devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. All glories to the readers who have taken Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. Emata Prabhu Achan Primera Aveshe Hinakale Prataparudra Korila Praveshe. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting in ecstatic love, Maharaj Prataparudra entered the garden. Sarvabhauma Upadeshe Chadira Jabesh Ekala Vaishnava Beshe Korila Pravesh. Following Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's instructions, the king had given up his royal dress. He now entered the garden in the dress of a Vaishnava. Sabhakteragya Nila Jodahatahaya Prabhupada Doripare Sahasa Korea. Maharaj Prataparudra was so humble that with folded hands he first took permission from all the devotees. Then with great courage he fell down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord. Angimuri Prabhu Preme Bhumete Shayan Nripati Nai Punye Kore Parasambahan. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay on the raised platform with his eyes closed in ecstatic love and emotion, the king very expertly began to massage his legs. Rasa Lila Shloka Pare Korana Stavan Jayati Te Dikam Adhyaya Korana Patan. The king began to recite verses from the Rasa Lila from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited the chapter beginning with the words Jayati Te Dikam. These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, constitute what is known as the Gopi Gita. Shunite Shunite Prabhur Santo Shapar Bo Bo Bole Prabhu Bole Bar Bar. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these verses, he was pleased beyond limits, and he said again and again, go on reciting, go on reciting. Tava Katamritam Shloka Raja Je Parila Ute Primaveshe Prabhu Alingana Koila. As soon as the king recited the verse beginning with the words Tava Katamritam, the Lord arose in ecstatic love and embraced him. Tumi more dile bahu amuya ratan more kitchu dite nahi dilun alingan. Upon hearing the verse recited by the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have given me invaluable gems, but I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore I am simply embracing you. Eta bole se shloka pare bar bar, dui janar ange kampa netre jaladar. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Both the king and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were trembling, and tears were flowing from their eyes. Tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibir iditam koma sapaham shravana mangalam shrimad atatam bhuvi grinanti jay burida janaha. My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are always aggrieved in this material world. These narrations are transmitted by exalted personalities, and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers. Burida burida bole korealingan iho nahi jane ihan hoy konjan. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced the king and cried, "You are the most munificent. You are the most munificent." At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not know who the king was. Purva Seva Dekitare Kripa Upachila Anusandana Bina Kripa Prasada Korila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was aroused because of the king's previous service. Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. Edeka Chaitanyara Kripa Mahabha Tara Anusandhana Bina Koraya Sava. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord made everything successful. Prabhu bole ke tume korela morahita achambite ashe piyan Krishna lilamrita. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who are you? You have done so much for me. All of a sudden you have come here and made me drink the nectar of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Rajakohe amitomar dashera anudash brityera brityakora e mora ash." The king replied, "My lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants." The greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants of the Lord. Actually, no one should desire to become the direct servant of the Lord. That is not a very good idea. When Prahlad Maharaj was offered a benediction by Nisringadev, Prahlad rejected all kinds of material benedictions, but he prayed to become the servant of the servants of the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, Dhruva could have asked for unlimited material opulence, but he simply asked for the benediction of becoming the servant of the servants of the Lord. Kulavecha Sridhar was a very poor man, but when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give him a benediction, he also prayed to the Lord to be allowed to remain a servant of the servants of the Lord. The conclusion is that being the servant of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest benediction one can desire. Kavi Mahaprabhu Tare Aishvarya Dekaila Kareha Na Kashibe E Nishada Korila. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed some of his divine opulences to the king, and he forbade him to disclose this to anyone. Rajahena Jnana Kabu Na Koila Prakash Antare Sakala Janin Bahira Udas. Although within his heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew everything that was happening. Externally, he did not disclose it, nor did he disclose that he knew he was talking with King Prataparudra. Prataparudra Bhagyadeki Bhaktagane Rajare Prashamse Sabe Anandita Mane. Sing the Lord's special mercy upon King Prataparudra. The devotees praise the king's good fortune. and their minds became open and blissful. Dandavat kore raja bahire chalila, joda hasta kore sav, bhaktere bandila, submissively offering prayers to the devotees with folded hands and offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The king went outside. Madhyana korila Prabhu, hene bhaktagan, vaninath, prasada loya koila agaman. After this, Vaninath Rai brought all kinds of prasadam, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted lunch with the devotees. Sarvabhauma Ramananda Vaninatha Diya Prasad Patala Raja Bahuta Koriya. The king also sent a large quantity of prasadam through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Rai, and Vaninath Rai. Balagandi Bhogar Prasad Uttama Ananta Nisakare Prasadaila Jaranahi Anta. The prasadam sent by the king had been offered at the Balagandi festival and included uncooked milk products and fruits. It was all of the finest quality, and there was no end to the variety. Chana, Pana, Paida, Amra, Narikela, Kantal, Nanabida, Kara, Laka, Arabijatal. There were curd, fruit juice, coconut, mango, dried coconut, jackfruit, various kinds of bananas, and palm fruit seeds. Naranga, Cholanga, Taba, Kamala, Bijapur, Badamla, Cholahara, Draka, Pinda, Karjur. There were also oranges, grapefruit, tangerines, almonds, dried fruit, raisins, and dates. Manohara Ladu Adi, Shatika Prakar, Amrita Gutika Adi, Shirasa Apar. There were hundreds of different types of sweetmeats like Manohar Ladu, sweets like Amrita Gutika, and various types of condensed milk. Amrita Manda, Sarabati, Ara Kunda Kuri, Saramrita, Sarabaja, Ara Sarapuri. There were also papayas and Saravati, a type of orange, and also crushed squash. There was also regular cream, fried cream, and a type of puri made with cream. Sarpuri. Haribalaba, Senoti, Karpura Malati, Dalima, Maricha Ladu, Navata Amriti. There were also the sweets known as Haribalaba and sweets made of Senoti flowers, Karpur flowers, and Malati flowers. There were pomegranates, sweets made with black pepper, sweets made with fused sugar, and Amriti Jalebi. Padmachini, Chandrakanti, Kaja, Kandasar, Viyari, Kadma, Tilak, Kajara, Prakar. There were lotus flowers sugar, a kind of bread made with urd dal, crispy sweetmeats, sugar candy, fried rice sweets, sesame seed sweets, and cookies made from sesame seeds. Naranga, Cholanga, Amra, Brikera, Akar, Fulafala, Patra, Jukta, Kandera, Bikar. There were sugar candy sweetmeats formed into the shape of orange, lemon, and mango trees and arranged with fruits, flowers, and leaves. Dari Dugda Nani Dari Dugda Nani Takra Rasala Shikarini Selavana Mudgakura Ara Kani. There were yogurt, milk, buttermilk, fruit juice, a preparation made of fried yogurt and sugar candy, and salted moong dal sprouts with shredded ginger. Lembu Kula Harinana Prakara Achar, Likitena Pare Prasad, Katika Prakar. There were also various types of pickles, lemon pickle, berry pickle, and so on. Indeed, I am not able to describe the variety of food offered to Lord Jagannath. Prasade Purita Hoila Arda Upaman Dekiya Santosha Hoila Mahaprabhurman. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw half the garden filled with a variety of prasadam, he was very satisfied. Emata Jagannath Korana Bojan E Suke Mahaprabhu Judaya Nayan. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully satisfied just to see how Lord Jagannath accepted all the food. Kaya Patra Droni Aila Boja Pancha Shat Ek Jani Dasha Dona Dila eight pot. Then there arrived 5 or 7 loads of plates made of the leaves of the ketaki tree. Each man was supplied 10 of these plates, and in this way the leaf dishes were distributed. Kirtaniyar Parishrama Jani Gorarai Tasabare Kaljaite Prabhur Manadai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the labor of all the kirtan chanters, therefore he was very eager to feed them sumptuously. Panti Panti Kori Bhakta Gane Vasaila Pariveshana Koribare Apane Lagila. All the devotees sat down in lines, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally began to distribute the prasadam. Prabhu na kaile keho na kore bojan Swarup Gosai Tabe Koilani Vedan. But the devotees would not accept the prasadam until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it. Swarup Goswami informed the Lord of this. Apane Vaisya Prabhu Bojana Korite Tumina Kaile Kehona Pare Kaite. Swarup Damodar said, "My Lord, please sit down to eat. No one will eat until you do." Tabe Mahaprabhu Vaisya Nijagan Loya Bojana Koraila Savake Akanta Puriya. At that time, Mahaprabhu sat down with his personal associates and had every one of them fed very sumptuously until they were filled to the necks. Bojana Kore Basila Prabhu Korea Chaman Prasada Ubarila Kai Sahasreka Jan. After finishing, the Lord washed his mouth and sat down. There was so much extra prasadam that it was distributed to thousands. Prabhur Agyaya Govinda Dina Hina Jane Duke Kangala Ane Koraya Bojane. Following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda, his personal servant, called for all the poor beggars who were unhappy due to their poverty and fed them sumptuously. Kangalera Bojana Ranga Deke Gora Hari Haribo Bole Tare Upadesha Kori. Observing the beggars eating prasadam, Mahaprabhu chanted Haribo and instructed them to chant the holy name. Haribo Bole Kangala Preme Bashijai Aichana Adbhuta Lila Koregora Rai. As soon as the beggars chanted the holy name, Haribo, they were immediately absorbed in ecstatic love of Godhead. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed wonderful pastimes. Ihan Jagannatara Rata Chalana Samai Godasab Rata Tane Agenahijai. Outside the garden, when it was time to pull Jagannath's car, all the workers called Godas tried to pull it, but it would not move forward. Tanitena Pare Goda Rata Chadidila Patra Mitra Loya Raja Vyagra Aya Aila. When the Godas saw that they could not budge the car, they abandoned the attempt. Then the king arrived in great anxiety, and he was accompanied by his officers and friends. Mahamala Gane Dila Rata Chalaite Apane Lagila Rata Nako Naparetanite. The king then arranged for big wrestlers to try to pull the car, and even the king himself joined in, but the car could not be moved. When the Godas saw that they could not budge the car, they abandoned the attempt. Then the king arrived in great anxiety, and he was accompanied by his officers and friends. Mahamalagana Dila Rata Chalaite Apanela Dila Rata Naparetanite. I'm reading this again. The king then arranged for big wrestlers to try to pull the car, and even the king himself joined in, but the car could not be moved. Chagrahaya Aneraja Mata Hategan Rata Chalaite Rate Korila Yojan. Becoming even more anxious to move the car, the king had very strong elephants brought forth and harnessed to it. Mata Hastegana Tane Jara Jatabava Ekparana Chale Rata Hoila Chal. The strong elephants pulled with all their strength, but still the car remained at a standstill, not budging an inch. Shuni Mahaprabhu Aila Nijagana Loya Mata Haste Ratatane Deke Dandaya. As soon as Mahaprabhu heard the news, he went there with all his personal associates. They then stood there and watched the elephants try to pull the car. Anukera Gaya Haste Koraye Chitkar Ratanahi Chale Loke Kore Hahakar. The elephants being beaten by the elephant goad were crying, but still the car would not move. The assembled people cried out, alas! Ha ha, ha ha kar, aha means alas, how sad it is. Tabe Mahaprabhu sab haste kuchaila nijagane rata kachi tanibare dila. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu let all the elephants go free and placed the car's ropes in the hands of his own men. Apane ratera pache tele mata dia hud kore rata chalila daya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the back of the car and began to push with his head. Began to push the car with his head. It was then that the car began to move and roll along, making a rattling sound, making a sound like hud, 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 hud. Cars moving, making that sound. Bhaktagan kache hate kore matradai apane chalila rata tanitena pai. Indeed, the car began to move automatically, and the devotees simply carried the ropes in their hands. Since it was moving effortlessly, they did not need to pull it. Anande Koreye Log Jai Jai Dwani Jaya Jagannatha Bai Aranahi Shuni. When the car moved forward, everyone began to chant with great pleasure. Jai, Jai, all glories, Jai Jagannath. And all glories to Lord Jagannath. No one could hear anything else. Nime she teta gelarata gundichara dwar Chaitanya Pratapa deki loke chamatkar. In a moment, the car reached the door of the Gundicha temple. Upon seeing the uncommon strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people were struck with wonder. Jai Gaurachandra Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Emata Kolahala Loke Danya Danya. The crowd made a tumultuous vibration, chanting Jai Gaurachandra Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Then all the people began to chant Danya, Danya, this is very wonderful. Dekiya Prataparudra Patra Mitra Sange Prabhura Mahima Deki Preme Fule Ange. Seeing the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prataparudra Maharaj and his ministers and friends were so moved by ecstatic love that the hair on their bodies stood on end. Bandhu Vijay Tabe Kore Sevaka Gane Jagannath Vasila Giya Nija Simhasane. All the servants of Lord Jagannath then took him down from the car, and the Lord went to sit on this Simhasana. Simhasana, the throne in the Gundicha temple, the altar. Subhadra Balaram Nija Simhasane Aila Jagannath there Snana Boga Hoite Lagila. Subhadra and Balaram also sat on their respective thrones. They followed the bathing of Lord Jagannath and finally the offering of food. Anginate Mahaprabhu Loya Bhaktigan Anande Aramba Koila Nartana Kirtan. When Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram and Subhadra sat on their respective thrones, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees began to perform Sankirtan with great pleasure, chanting and dancing in the yard of the temple. Anande Mahaprabhu Prema Utalila Dekesa Lok Prema Sagareba Sila. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting and dancing, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and all the people who saw him were also flooded in the ocean of love of Godhead. Nritya Kore Sandhya Kale Arati Dekila Aitota Ashe Prabhu Vishrama Korila. In the evening, after finishing his dancing in the yard of the Gundicha temple, the Lord observed the arti ceremony. Thereafter, he went to a place called Aitota and took rest for the night. So I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue with our reading. Now we'll sing Hari Harai. So here mentioned that when Maharaj Prataparudra came and read from Bhagavatam, he wasn't dressed as a king, and Mahaprabhu didn't show that he knew who the king was. But after this incident happened, then Mahaprabhu never refused to meet the king, and always the king became one of the close devotees of Mahaprabhu, and he never said, I can't meet with the king after that. So he didn't acknowledge that he knew that he was talking with the king or embracing the king. But after that, the king had already received all of Mahaprabhu's mercy, and he became accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Dharanara Shiva Sari Kora Bhakti Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhanamansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Tilak Nehru Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhanamansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhanamansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhanamansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupa Nuka Kuruvarga Ki Jai. Namachara Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Radhana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Radhana Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Shri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Vishvakaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Ko Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Ram Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shrinya Sringadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Sripad Bhakti Raman Madhav Maharaj Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hare Hare.